Happy birthday, Jim. You are my oldest and dearest friend. Do you remember the days of summer in Snow Hill? Always barefooted, nearly every day we traversed that sand bed, also known as back street, that connected our homes. One day, an older neighbor, Bertie Lee Dedman, saw us, took one look at our feet, and then and there fabricated the Blackfoot tribe, with her as chief. You and I were the only members. Whenever and wherever we saw her, we had to raise our hands and bow down and extol loudly, "Hey, oh chief." We played together under the ancient oaks in your front yard. We built roads in the dirt and played little cars, and when we were not doing that, we were on your screen porch playing Monopoly. We were members of the Flying Eagle Patrol of the Boy Scouts. We were tent mates. And it was in the Scouts that you acquired that nickname still remembered by a few, Birchbark. At one camporee, in the middle of the night, you suddenly awoke and exclaimed that a daddy longlegs had climbed into your ear and had burrowed to your brain. So we had to go by flashlight and seek out the infirmary and a medic who could peer into your ears. I have always thought that incident actually occurred, and I've always felt like that, Jim, you would have made something in your life had it not been for that dreaded daddy longlegs. Hot summer days would find us at the Snow Hills swimming pool, also known as Contentnia Creek. There we would take a refreshing skinny dip with some of our other friends, no girls allowed. Ah, Jim, growing up in Snow Hill, so much better than Mayberry. I still love you, my friend. And Porter, keep taking care of this old man, because he is really a treasure.
It is indeed a distinct privilege and high honor to be asked to praise Jim on his 90th birthday. From his humble beginnings, milking goats behind his home on Back Street, he rose to become Chief Justice, known affectionately as Slam Dunk by the North Carolina Trial Lawyers Association. Today he moves in cultural circles once unimagined until he met Sugar Mama. His academic achievements are nothing short of legendary. Beginning with Sister Exum and Cousin Winnie Harper, his report card was spotless. Upon graduation, Ms. Bullock declared him a concert pianist, despite her hearing disability. After graduating from Snow Hill High School, Jim applied for the Morehead Scholarship in 1953. That year, there were 4 scholarships and only 3 applicants. Jim felt confident he'd receive one since he had spent so much time in Morehead. Upon graduating from UNC, Jim won the prestigious Root Tilden Scholarship to attend NYU Law School, where he lived in Washington Square and became a communist. Modesty prevents me from taking all the credit for launching Jim's dizzying legal career. Suffice it to say, it was during my stay at Chapel Hill when I challenged the rookie attorney fresh out of law school with a moving traffic violation Johnny Cochran would not have defended. When I told my fraternity brothers that Jim not only had the charges reduced, he lent me the money to pay the fine. All my fraternity brothers wanted to retain his services. From that traffic court, who would have imagined his portrait would adorn the most public building since Jesse James? Every breath is a gift, and at 90, That's a lot of gifts. We only have so many moments to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. And Jim has gladdened our hearts with wisdom, wit, and generosity along the way. So here's to Jim, our brother, swift to love, quick to be kind, 90 years as our gift.
Happy birthday, Jim. You've reached a tremendous milestone. Congratulations on that. I think you've easily taken the place of Dad. You're as the oldest rat in the barn at this point. Our friendship goes back more than 50 years. I was a young reporter trying to cover the courts in Winston-Salem for the Journal, and getting not a great deal of help from the old judges who sat in Superior Court in those days. But then a new term came, and with it, a new judge, the Honorable James Exum Jr, who, if I'm not mistaken, may have been the youngest Superior Court judge at the time. And we had great conversations. You taught me a lot. I learned my way around the Superior Court. And at some point, you suggested to me that I might want to consider going to law school. I hadn't, but I did after that. And before long, I was enrolled at UNC Law, and you were Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and life went on in different directions. I never practiced law, but that experience, having that degree, was a great help to me in a subsequent career as an editorial writer for many, many years in Winston-Salem and Greensboro. And it was a delight to me to reconnect with you at the coast later on, share our love of sailing and love of the law. And it's been a treat to break bread, catch up on old times, and I hope that'll continue right on. Things have come full circle, and I'm glad of it. But congratulations, enjoy your day, and enjoy your family. Thank you.
Jim, I think of you as my Atticus Finch and Gregory Peck friend. Like Atticus, you are a natural leader, a genteel Southern lawyer with a keen sense of justice and the willingness and courage to advocate for the oppressed and to correct the injustices of our world. Like Atticus, you inspire us all to be better citizens and better people. Like Gregory Peck, you have a quiet inner strength, a nobleness of character, and a gentle and easy grace that attracts many people of different walks of life to you and your causes. So on this, the 90th anniversary of your birth, with respect, admiration, and affection, I salute you as a gentleman and scholar, and thank you for the privilege of being your friend.
Greetings from Asheville, Chief Justice Exum. This is Ed Blanot congratulating you on your 90th birthday. And I remember the great inspiration that you provided. I'm going to read something to you from the book by Justice Mark Davis, A War in Court of Our Own, at page 165. It goes like this. Exum is emphatic that political considerations never entered his mind when deciding cases. Absolutely not. I never thought about how any decision I made was going to affect my ability to get reelected. None of us had to be justices. I mean, there are other things in life more important than being a justice. It was just our job. We were all lawyers. We weren't necessarily dependent upon those jobs for our livelihood. We could all practice law. We could do other things. You know, if we got beat, we got beat. A former law clerk of his reinforces this sentiment, noting that Jim Exum would have sooner cut off his left foot than allow political considerations to affect his judicial decision-making. Well, if you went to note 1174 of that book, you would see that that law clerk was me. I meant it then and I mean it now, and I hope that your example will inspire some of the other judges and some of the other courts in this land not to let political considerations affect their decision-making process. Beyond that, I also wanted to share a fun story. I remember once that you had been talking to Justice Meyer probably about a case that I had been helping you with, and Justice Meyer, whom we all love and respect despite our disagreements, reached a state in thinking about that case that you described as apoplectic. So I don't know that I ever wanted to contribute to Justice Meyer's apoplexy, but it was nice also to remember him and some of the other folks that I was fortunate enough to work with while serving as your law clerk. It was a great honor of my life. It has formed me in the practice of law. It was also one of the things that I can look to as guiding professionally, personally, and with great appreciation for the work that you have done for the citizens of this state and for those of us who are closely connected to you. Thanks, and God bless.
Hi, Jim. Happy birthday. 70th, I believe. Maybe not. I want to thank you for the Outer Banks Reader and a short story that was right at the very end. 1921, a businessman was hunting in a duck blind in Ocracoke, and he got a telegram. It came from his wife, and his wife said, "I hope you're having a good time. Your secretary has run away with your checkbook. The checks are still coming in. And also had a key to your wine cellar. All your French wine is gone. I am not feeling too well, but you have a good time, and we'll talk about it when you return. Don't worry." Well, about that time, pintails came into his decoys. He jumped up and shot 5 times, legal at the time, and missed every one, which reminded me of when we hunted with Joe Redden at a duck impoundment on Mattamuskeet Lake. And he'd called in pintails from 500 yards away. Took him 35 or 40 minutes. It was near the end of shooting time. And they all came into our decoys, just landed point blank. 3 people in our blind, 3 people in the other blind shot 18 times, and not a single feather. Not a single person, not a single duck fell. And Moose, Joe Redden's famous hunting dog, looked up at me, looked up at you, and just shook his head in disgust. We then all came home, had breakfast. At night we had fried oysters. We loved the camaraderie. We're not good hunters, and we enjoyed a few beverages. So let's do it one more time, Jim. Maybe in January this year. Let's try again. Happy 70th or 80th or 90th birthday, and best wishes from Diane and I. Thank you.
Well, I first met Jim down in Ide County at Julian Mann's family place, which has come to be his hideaway. And as I said, we didn't meet in a lawyer's office or a judge's chamber. We met in the social wing, headquarters wing, I call it, of the Mann House, amidst a wood stove, the smoke in that room, the smell of the kitchen right adjacent to, smell of cigar smoke, brown stained water, the tinkling of ice cubes, and the time for unfolding of fellowship. Well, Jim started telling me about motorcycle trips up the Alaskan Highway, and I started telling him about following Lewis and Clark from the woods of the Bellefontaine Arboretum in St. Louis to the rocky shores of the Cape of Disappointment, the border of Oregon and Washington at the mouth of the Columbia River. So in summary, that started our meeting, and for the lifespan of 3 labs, we've laughed and giggled, and we've basically discussed all the outdoor activities that a fella could like. We spend a lot of time in that little room whenever we do get together, which is about once a year at MLK weekend. But we get a chance to tell some stories and swap some things with the younger men that are there, and that's what it's all about. Talking about it, doing it, and having the fellowship of the adventures we've had. With that, I toast my buddy Jim and Julian for bringing us together, and I am so thankful and honored to be an eclectic in this group of distinguished honorees. Good day.
Jim and Porter first started dating, I took Porter aside and told her that Jim was the most honorable and principled man I'd ever known, and that was true then and is true now. In 1956, I think it was, Jim ran for president of the student body at Chapel Hill, and he lost. But then, later, he went on to win election and re-election to the Chief Justiceship of the North Carolina Supreme Court, and he was the greatest Chief Justice of our court in living memory. So happy birthday, Jim, from Carolyn and me.
Hey, Jim. I can't believe you're 90. You've always been so much younger and acting younger than that. I have many recollections of our relationship and things that we did. Europe, we toured in a motorcycle. We toured, went to Montana several times. Went to the Ireland on a wonderful trip, and all on motorcycles. Went to New York one time, and you stayed at the Waldorf Astoria, or we all did. And here we drove up to the Waldorf Astoria in our motorcycle stuff, and you thought it was great because you stayed in the big tower, and we're kind of where the wealthy people go. You like that. At any rate, Jim, I've missed going to the Sturgis and Daytona Beach, the things we would do together along with our friends with Steve and others. I wish you well. I have many fond memories, particularly of our Alaska trip, leaving North Carolina and going all the way to Alaska through Canada and the Yukon. Those were great times, wonderful events. Please have a wonderful life. Enjoy yourself as you always have, and I'm thinking of you.
Dad, I feel incredibly fortunate and sometimes a little intimidated to be your son. Saying I'm the son of the Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court comes with bragging rights, and it also comes with some tough lessons. As a teenager, I racked up more speeding tickets than I care to remember. Once I even hired an attorney thinking your reputation might help me out. Instead, the judge spotted my last name and said, "Perfect time for a lecture on responsibility." I walked out guilty, embarrassed, and wishing my last name was anything but Exum. So much for the family privilege. You've always been a role model in health and fitness, playing tennis, running 5Ks with me, and taking more vitamins in the morning than most people take in a month. And yes, now I do the same. But I'll never forget your protein shake experiments. One tasted like bananas mixed with NyQuil. I gagged while you grinned and insisted it was good for me. I'm still not sure if you believed that or just enjoyed watching me suffer. And then there was our sailing trip across the Pamlico Sound. The storm rolled in, the engine quit, the lightning flashed all around us, and the waves pounded the boat. I was scrambling like a panicked deckhand, while you stood at the helm, calm, steady, jaw clenched, hands on the wheel, like nothing could shake you. That's who you've always been, Dad. Cool as a cucumber, even when everything's falling apart. It's one of the things I admire most about you, how rarely you lose your cool. You could handle wrecked cars or broken windows with calm understanding. But misplaced your scissors, suddenly it was a full-scale investigation. I'll never forget finding them in your drawer. That may be my only legal victory over the Chief Justice. Through the laughs, adventures, and lessons, what I cherish most is your character. You treat everyone the same, whether they're billionaires or cleaning the floors. You've lived with humility, kindness, fairness, and love. And that, more than all the titles or honors, is what makes me proud to be your son. Happy 90th birthday, Dad. I love you.